Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckin Around Kickstarter Edition. Today we're going to be taking a look at any new decks that have dropped in the past week. But before we jump into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And ring the bell.
So let's check out what's funded in the past week here. First up, congratulations to Shinto Neko, first playing cards for Japan Shrine Cats.
Crushed it.
Yeah. Congratulations to Pixel Kingdom playing cards, a 16-bit inspired deck.
Nice.
Congratulations to the Crossed Key Society playing cards collection. And congratulations to the Illusorium Bicycle playing cards deck. And congratulations to Composers playing cards, Johannes Brahm, 5 of 7. And ending in the upcoming week, we have the Anatomica playing cards. We have the Origin 3D Genesis playing cards.
Beast of a campaign.
Yeah. We have the Wonder playing cards, the Pyramids. We have the playing cards, The Show Must Go On. We have the Cocktail Recipes Limited Edition Collector's Cards.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, they just started this week, actually, so we're going to be taking a look through that one later, too. And we have the BOD playing cards. And the Mindset playing cards. And the Majestic Imperial Luxury playing cards. For a lot of decks ending this week, man.
Right?
And the Fire and Ice playing cards.
A lot of decks that funded.
Yeah. And the Regium playing cards. Before we jump into what's new this week, let's take a quick word from our sponsor.
The year 2020 caused everyone around the world to rearrange their normal. This official, unofficial deck will serve as a reminder that through the highs and lows, we will go on. Pick yours up at marvelousdecks.com.
So let's take a look at our first deck for the week, the Golden Deer Casino playing cards. So we can see right off the bat, there's a relatively low goal on this, $1,300. So most likely being printed either in a small run with one of the smaller printing houses, maybe, you know, Shuffled Ink or MPC or one of those. Hopefully they mention down below.
Just say an FE3H playing card deck.
Featuring yours truly, Teach and all his friends.
Must be like a game or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Anyone who knows what it is, drop a comment down below. Let us know if you know what FE3H is.
Looks like she's a illustrator, writer, game, and anime enthusiast.
Yeah, so it could be either a game reference or an anime reference. We see that a lot with some of these decks, and I think that's cool.
I really dig the artwork. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's very fun. I think the interesting thing about this, and you know, we always talk about with your story, you want to have a personal touch to it. And I think in this case, though, it almost goes a little bit too far with that. Not in a bad way. Yeah. But it's like, if you know me, you know I like me some card games. The problem is that immediately kind of alienates anyone who doesn't know you, which is not the ideal situation there. I think you could actually use that as a play to kind of say, like, you know, for all my friends who know me, I really like card games, and hopefully throughout this campaign, you'll see we can become friends, or even something like that. Build that personal connection there with the person reading through the campaign. What better candidates to put on that? So, yeah, it feels very much like a little bit of an inside joke, you know, a little bit...
that I don't understand.
Exactly, and I think, you know, like, again, I really appreciate the artwork, but I feel like a lot of it is just not selling me on the campaign itself. Also, there's a lot of, I don't want to say there's a lot of images. You have a decent amount of images to start with here, but it doesn't really have much text to it to continue telling that story other than that first paragraph. I think weaving the story of why you designed the cards the way you did, what you really appreciate about them, why you wanted to create your own first deck of cards for people who don't know you, might help go a little bit farther to get this campaign funded. I like the fact that you kind of put like a comical touch on the price point, because that is a bit of a high price point considering, but for a small run, it makes sense. You also touch on it. Yeah, and I mean, you even touch on it. You know, the deck is $15 plus $7 shipping. Seeing as this is my first project, I'm limiting it to domestic shipping to simplify the process. Cool. It's something that not a lot of people may touch on, but it's good that you are.
I mean, if you're going, you know, with a small print company, like let's just say she's going with NPC. Oh, it
Yep,
says
there
right
you
there.
go, specs.
But so she's going with NPC. $15 is actually cheap for a low run deck.
Yeah, it's
So,
really not bad.
Yeah,
But
might
the-
be, you know, making $1 or $2.
And so the consideration on that, and the one thing I would actually even say is, while it's good to aim realistically, sometimes aiming large and saying, this is what my goals are, this is the price point, and doing that as your first campaign to see how it goes, and then maybe reducing the goal in the print run in a subsequent campaign if the first one doesn't fund, might actually be better, because you could surprise yourself and get more people at a lower price point. So, because ultimately I like the look of this deck. The other thing I would like to see, though, is more inclusion of the back design, not just on the upper page there, because now scrolling halfway down, I'm like, oh, what was the back design again? I have to scroll all the way back up to the top. Incorporate the entirety of the deck throughout the images and throughout the campaign so that you have a continuous visual of what people like and want to purchase with it. You touch on the price point yourself, and I think you realize $22 is a little bit high for this. In my book, this is definitely a $17 deck shipped max end, maybe 18, because the artwork is fun, but also being that this is a first campaign, I think there's a lot of kind of open-ended questions here that probably would have helped to decide how you would have gone about this. The fact that you can only do either one deck or a deck plus a full color illustration is somewhat limiting people who want multiple, and I know you do.
Well, it says right there.
And
Yeah,
and
I'm currently
like I
looking
said,
at the shipping solutions. So.
yeah, I think that's something that, you know, should have been looked into from the jump. You know, I think that $7 price point too, and it might even help to bring you down to an even 20, is looking into a fulfillment service. Granted, with 50 decks, it's a little expensive at that point, but all things considered, single deck, box, packaging, shipped, shouldn't be more than $5. So I think that $7 price point, even self-fulfilling for 50 decks, you could probably bring it down to 5 and get this to 20, which in my book would still be a max end there. So
I think what it comes down to is raising that goal, because after all said and done, at $1,300, you know, after Kickstarter takes theirs and after you have to pay for shipping and everything, you're gonna be in over your head.
Absolutely, I think there's a lot of potential with this deck. I really do dig the artwork, so I do hope you take into consideration any ways that you can further this along. So, good luck on your first campaign. Yeah, and if it doesn't fund the first time, I'd say keep at it, because I think there's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, definitely. I like to see the back design kind of integrate a little more with face cards.
Yeah, it seems like a good first draft, but I think it needs a little more refinement. So, cool. Good luck. Next up, we have the Fluorescent Playing Cards Neon Edition from MPC, which MPC does a great job with their campaigns. They really know how to build out the campaign and sell it. This is their job.
They better say who prints it.
Yeah. I would really hope so.
Who's printing and fulfilling this?
Yeah, this Fluorescent Playing Card deck is a new deck made by MPC. We'll take that at its face value. I would also assume that they're fulfilling completely.
Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah, this is actually, I have to say, this is a flashy looking deck, and I kind of dig it. I would be curious. My big concerns, just being that it's an MPC deck, is stock. Which stock are they using? Hopefully they're using, there you go, M30 Linen Air Light. So this is their premium card stock here. And we've played around with it recently. It handles beautifully. It feels really nice. So I'm actually excited to see this. This might be an NPC deck that I think would be worth picking up, not just for collectors, but for people who like the look and really want to use the deck.
I love how in the light, it looks like just a normal white standard, and you put it in a UV light, it's just purple. That's pretty cool.
So the one downside you do have to it is for really sticklers for, ease of use, this would not be a playable deck since all the suits are the same color. Not the end of the world, but I do think this has more of an appeal for that cardistry kind of visuals that we've been seeing a lot recently. I do love that yellow pop. I wish they had maybe incorporated multiple UV colors into it, especially on the suits, to make it a little more playable. But it's not bad. Limited to 5,000 decks. Yeah, it's definitely a fun deck. So yeah, and if they... Nice stretch goal there. Neon printing inside the tuck box, which I think is really cool.
Add-ons.
It's an interesting add-on system because it looks like their pledges and their add-ons are the same. So I don't necessarily know.
Well, that's if you want to add. Yeah, so the pledges are there. If you want to add on but existing same amounts, you can add those on.
Yeah, but so like if I wanted one deck and then I needed an add-on of another deck, I'd just get 2 decks. I guess if, oh, because there's no 3, 4, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that makes a little bit of sense. I think it probably would have been a little less confusing to just have those tiers built in so you could have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. But because most people aren't going in and buying 7 decks or 8 decks necessarily. That uncut sheet.
I'm going to do that for my next campaign and just...
I'm going to tell you, if you could find a really cool frame with a built-in UV light for that neon uncut, that would be phenomenal. But this is the other thing I'll say too. And, from NPC's point of view, yes, they have experience. There are no real risks with this project. I personally wish that even established companies would address potential risks. We've seen, 2020 was an unprecedented year. No one thought there'd be a global pandemic that delayed shipping, and it's still being impacted.
Says it right there, though. It's like, it says there are no risks, and then they go into saying there is possibly a possibility of delay.
Yeah, and like
that's a risk.
It's a weird way to kind of like
challenge, I guess.
Yeah, and like I wish that it would kind of like get rid of that first, like, there are no real risks. Just say, like, you're better off going into it with, we have been printing and producing cards for over 35 years. Because then you're not selling one thing and then changing your story halfway through. I think a lot of bigger brands have just gotten used to saying, hey, we know how to do this, but like things could always happen. And that's what the whole purpose of risks and challenges is for, is to address the unexpected. So I think taking full use of that section makes sense. What are we looking at? Yeah, price point, $17 shipped. It's not bad for a fun deck. I think that's really the limit of what I would pay on this. And it comes down to, if you get 2, it comes down to about $15 or $14.50 a deck. So can't go wrong. Good luck, NPC. I mean, already funded on this one, no surprise there. But this is a cool looking deck. I look forward to seeing how people feel about it.
It's fun.
Yeah. Good luck. Next up, we have the... What are we looking at here? We have the Flower Luxury Playing Cards. Todd Weatherhead.
With the magic.
Yeah. I have to say, this is a... Todd crushed it with his campaign. This is I think, his 3rd campaign. He did the Mary Jane.
Marion Jane.
Yeah, Marion Jane and the Flower of Life deck. So this is a nice variation on the Flower of Life deck there. I think this is kind of the evolved form of it. Looks dope.
Yeah, the other one didn't fund, so I think this is kind of like the redo.
Yeah, I think this is
taking it back to the drawing board and making something else. Yeah,
okay.
Good.
So very close to meeting that goal. $8,000. The image looks gilded, so I'm curious to see if that's just a render or what. Because $8,000 for a gilded deck's actually a relatively low goal if they're all being gilded. So let's get into the details here. Used to introduce a deck of cards inspired by magic, spiritual teachings of sacred geometry, and the artistic insight into the flow of the universe. Awesome. Dives right into the story. What is flow? What is sacred geometry? I would say there's a potential here to throw another image in just to break up the text a little bit more. Then we get into the specs here. Perfect. Printed by USPCC, 2,500 decks.
Wow. There
is a notation there that they'll print more than 2,500 if the campaign goes over 2,500, so I think that's reasonable. Fully custom deck, numbered, sealed, marked 2-way back, very cool. And the one thing I would like to see in there is just throw in the fulfillment. Now the
say marked 2-way back.
Yeah,
can't be a 2-way back
unless it's marked on both sides.
I mean, if it's marked on the back, it's a 1-way back.
It depends where the marking system is, though. You can make a 2-way back design that's marked.
Oh, I guess you could. Yeah, I guess you could.
Yeah, it's just you have to have you basically have a readable marker on both sides. Yeah. So
I had to think about that for a second.
It happens. Okay, so the gilded gold foil one is limited only to 144 decks. Numbered seals, very cool. Talks about the marking system. Interesting. Usually, a lot of time what we see with marked decks is they'll reserve that for people who purchase it. But again, as the creator, if you're into sharing the marking system, go for it. Talks about the design. I think this is a great variation on that first Flowers of Life one we saw. I think this really goes next level, and it's fun but simple. Dope aces. Got full-size pips, central pips there,
Definitely,
which I'm
definitely
all
cool.
about. Talks about the faces. A lot of information here, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So
Uncut sheet.
it's a pretty pricey uncut sheet. I'll just throw that out there. I mean, even
Does that include shipping?
hopefully that includes shipping. So that would be something to note there as well, because that is a pretty high price point for an uncut sheet. Though it's a little more reasonable if shipping's included, so it might be worthwhile to just say $50 including shipping, something like that there. I dig the brick box. Very cool. Thin crushed, magic finish, embossed, numbered seals, printed by USPCC. The one thing I'm still not seeing here, though, is fulfillment. That is still my open question here. Even if you're going to be... What's up?
Says we ship via USPS, so it looks like they're doing their own fulfillment.
So yeah, and even if you're going to be doing self-fulfillment, definitely worth noting in a more prominent way, you know, even at the top in the specs, if you say fulfilled by Todd Weatherhead, something along those lines, just so people know who's going to be fulfilling it, because it adds into a consideration there.
Right.
Let's see where we're at price point wise. $5 shipping, spot on. $17 out the door. Great price point on it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see. So far, we're doing pretty well with price point this week. It's a nice looking deck. Good luck, man. I mean, you're already over your goal, so I think that's awesome. You must be elated. I'm excited to see how well this deck does. Yeah, good luck, man. Next up, we have the Morganstrebler White Legacy playing cards.
Didn't we just have the...
So this might be a that's a big description there. This is a relaunch of the previous campaign was the white or black, which was unsuccessful. So it looks like they've relaunched with just a single colorway, which isn't a bad idea. Helps bring the goal down a bit, most likely. Let's take a look.
Oh, I remember these pictures.
Yeah, and again, a lot of times it's always, you know, people always have the idea that they have to do pairs of colorways. Sometimes a secondary colorway can always come later. For a first campaign, unless you really know that both colors are going to be a hit, starting with one color and adding a second as a stretch goal or as a subsequent campaign is probably a safer play for a first-time campaign creator.
Yep.
So, let's see. Create my own deck. I mean, it's definitely, the campaign itself has the information you need there. Shows off.
Oh, it says Cadamundi, right?
What's that?
Right there. Up a little more. I saw B9, I think.
Yep. The legacy deck streams quality as a result of months of extensive research. We only utilize the Cadamundi True Linen B9 finish. Cool. So, the one thing I would say is that's the only place it really touches on who's printing.
That at the top.
Yeah, I would say it's better to have a little bit of a kind of explanation of the top, up top, talking about who's going to be printing, who's going to be fulfilling, and all those other details. Simple stuff along the lines of, you know, customized court cards, blah, 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 this and that. Like, it really allows you to have a consolidated sales pitch that people who are in a rush can see, get what they need to know, and decide whether or not they want it back. So that's one of the big things. Also touching on fulfillment is a crucial one. See, we're at price point one. Oof, yeah, $22. That's $7 shipping in the US is a little too high. Again, in reality, shipping a single deck should be $5. That's what most fulfillment companies are going to give you, and that's something as an individual level you should be able to manage as well. Shipping for a single deck is going to be somewhere around $3 to $4 high end, plus, you know, figure a box and packaging material. You're probably looking right around that $5 mark. So,
yeah, unfortunately, I think Kickstarter takes out from the total, so.
Which they do, and that's where dealing with a fulfillment company is probably going to be better, because ultimately you get a little bit less worry as it relates to the shipping, where you can also then put in a reduced price point there. Even at $20, if this was $5 shipping, I think it's a little high for what the deck is itself. I think this is closer to a $17, $18 deck. But I like the artwork. I'm glad to see they relaunched with a more focused approach towards just the one colorway. I just want to see a little more detail in a consolidated way. Who's going to be fulfilling, again, is the big question there. Any other information we need to know about the Cadamundi printing? Is it the B9 standard thickness or slimline? So
they actually only have one now. They only do the B9 slimline.
There we go. So it's going to be the slimline. Well, and in that case too, run with the marketing material. The other thing I would say here is use the logos to help draw attention. So the Cardamundi logo, and again, whoever's fulfilling, if you're self-fulfilling, throw it in there. But if you end up going with Murphy's Gamblers or Art of Play, use their logo work as well. So good, good luck. Next up, we have the Constellation playing cards by Deck Idea.
Jason coming in
custom
strong.
playing cards that feature zodiac signs printed by Cardamundi. Awesome. Yeah, coming in really well with this. I know this deck has been hyped a lot, and this actually brings up a good point before we even dive into it. The one thing that I will say Jason does a phenomenal job of is the social media marketing pre-campaign. Any campaign should be building hype up at least 2 to 3 weeks, if not a month before it even happens, teasing pictures, getting feedback, things like that. Most of the campaigns we've seen prior to this have not done that in a as successful of a way as Jason has. So for any of the campaigns, especially the previous one, the Morganstrebler one, that social media presence can help bring more eyes to your campaign who wouldn't normally see it. So make sure to get active in those social media atmospheres. Here we go. Goes right into the story of constellations. Babylonians invented 13 zodiac constellation signs in the first half of the first millennium BC. Dope. Tells you a little bit about it. Gets into more detail about constellations, which I think is really cool. Detailed illustration that feature all 12 zodiac signs. Special printing technique, champagne gold, metallic ink / UV invisible ink. Guessing that's
that sounds really cool.
Do you think that's on the tuck, though, or the cards?
I'm thinking it's on the tuck.
Okay. So that would be one thing I would...
Actually, no, because I think the cards themselves also are UV.
Okay. So that's the one thing I would put in as a distinction there, is whether or not that's referring to the cards or the tuck. Just because it looks like you're touching on a lot of those in there. Gold, purple foil on both exterior and interior of the tuck box, embossing on the tuck box. Thick cardboard used for sturdy tuck box. Awesome. Numbered, sealed. Printed by Cardamundi. Fulfilled by Murphy's Magic. Awesome. Got all the important details right there, and now we can dive into just the beauty of this deck. Okay, champagne gold version features a highly detailed design. Illustration has features like the moon phases and different zodiac signs hidden throughout the tuck box for you to
Jason
discover.
always has great photos on there / renders.
Yeah,
definitely knows how to
love that
litter his campaign with great shots.
I love that interior tuck picture there as well. Really phenomenal job with it. Great detail.
Really cool. Like the purple edition as well. It has a die cut.
Yeah, that die cut looks awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
Shows the seals, talks about the back design, shows them off a little bit. Goes into detail with the aces and the number cards. Goes off the courts. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
They're fun.
There's a great back and... Oh, so it is the cards themselves have the UV. That looks gorgeous. So the nice thing about what Jason's campaigns, I think, is he always does images with little blocks of text. Images, then blocks of text. It helps keep you engaged throughout. I think he does a really phenomenal job. This UV ink looks spectacular. I wasn't even aware of that. Having seen all the marketing, it looks great. Nope, Dick Jokers there. It's funny because as much as they're Diptych Jokers,
they're really not.
Yeah, you could put them on either side, and there's nothing that really combines the two necessarily. There's nothing on the edge that joins them. So I can see where, yes, they are Diptych Jokers, but at the same time, if you didn't know that, they still just look dope.
Yeah, it looks singular.
I'm also seeing a little bit of repetition on some of the colors, or some of the photos. That's the one thing I'd say probably, like, I think this one we'd already seen once or twice before. But otherwise, the campaign's well put together. I like the coin.
Stretch goals.
Sweet. Okay. So this is awesome. So now it looks like he's at a point where he needs more stretch goals. And this is something that I think I will give this feedback to Jason every single time, and I think it's something he always falls for. He's so conservative with his campaigns that he builds stretch goals, not thinking he's going to either hit them or not expecting to get to them so quickly. And then it's like, oh no, I need to get more stretch goals. Jason, for every campaign you do in the future, think of how many stretch goals you need and then double that. And that's how many stretch goals you should have prepared from the jump, because this campaign is doing great, man. Taking a little page from the Riffle Shuffle book there, kind of staggering the release for the Gilded Edition, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. How much is it per deck?
Let's see what we got here. 21 shipped. So in most cases, I would say that's a little high, but looking at the foil on the tuck, the metallic ink, and the UV ink on the cards, I think that hits a perfect price point.
Definitely more expensive.
Without a doubt, and I think it makes sense at that price point. Again, I at first was not aware of the UV ink, so like if you looked at this as just a foil tuck and nothing much else to it, I'd say that $20 price point makes sense, but that 21 is more than reasonable on this with the inclusion of metallic and UV inks, and really just the amount of kind of extras that are included with this deck. Nice. So yeah, 21 shipped is great. Very nicely done. Perfect use of the logos there. Talks about the
That's kind of a useless
breakdown
right there. You can't even read it.
Yeah, and this is something that I think some people don't realize is that you can't open images on Kickstarter easily to read them. Yeah. They really shrink them down. So this would be something that would actually probably be better off broken up into like 3 images of 4 lines each, so they're a little bit bigger and focused each, you know?
Yeah.
To ensure perfect. Jason,
yeah, good luck,
well done, man. Again, my feedback there is just keep over anticipating stretch goals. You need to do it because you always run out of stretch goals, and I love to see how
which is okay too.
Yeah,
but just great job and
yeah, good luck, man.
Crushing it.
Next up, we have the Cocktail Recipes Limited Edition Collector's Cards. So this campaign is actually a really short campaign.
Yeah.
They hit their goal really quickly. It's actually a pretty low funding goal for the complexity of this deck.
I'm actually curious if they have permission to use that. Don't you need like rights to use that?
I think there is a... Yeah, there was a legal licensing issue for use of the tuck box. We can check through and see, but that is something...
Bacopo,
yeah. So this is something we can definitely look in. We can see if they address during the campaign. But if they are not aware, this is definitely something you want to look into, is any sort of licensing ramifications you could have using that style tuck. And again, like I said, for something with such a complex tuck, the cost seems low goal-wise.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Limited to 1,000 decks. Handmade tuck box, printed by USPCC, fulfilled by Gambler's Warehouse. I think the cards look dope. Or the deck looks dope. I like the back design. It's a little
look like eggplant.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. I know they're wine glasses combined. I like the colors a lot. Gold foil and embossed back design.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm curious as well.
Yeah, I know what gold foil means, but I don't know what embossed back.
So, and here's the other thing though too, and this is a red flag to me.
And USPCC does not do gold foil.
This is a red flag to me from the jump. USPCC will do Metalux. Metalux can only have a single color back design, which means you are getting gold foil and nothing else, not gold foil and blue and purple ink there. So to me, that immediately stands out as, how are you fulfilling? How is this actually being printed? Is it going through USPCC? Are you going through Cartamundi and you misspoke there, or what's the deal? That is not a back design USPCC with their currently advertised capabilities would be able to fulfill. So immediate red flag to me there.
Are they doing that since the Chris Ramsey thing, or
so that's the only deck they've ever done where there's been a multi.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just curious they haven't offered it if people ask.
That was a one-off thing, and I'm sure it was probably in relation to who was asking in the Chris print run size. Yeah. So and that's the thing about it. Like, there's a different print process for under. I'm pretty sure that was probably a web press deck. So there might have been different functionality available on a web press versus a standard printing process. But between the uncertainty of the tuck and the licensing issues there, and then the back design.
I mean, that's a low
so these are all red flags for
on
me.
A back design. Yeah. That's a low goal.
These are all red flags to me that make me leery from the jump from this campaign, and I'll say it. I think there's reason for concern. Hopefully they're addressed in the comments below and we can check those out. Because I do like the look of this deck. I like the box. I like to some extent, I like the idea of the recipes on the cards. It makes them a little non-playable, but it's a fun...
Yeah, I mean, we just saw something recently that had that, didn't we?
Yeah, and it did all right, but it didn't, like, crush. Collector's coin at 5,000.
One deck plus tuck box.
Yeah. Handmade boxes would be a challenge to make on time, so we have limited the number of decks to make fulfillment as per delivery date mentioned on rewards. So, estimated is May, so they're looking at 3 months out. It's not a
good
bad,
luck with
yeah, that's
that,
not a
huh?
bad tight, but it's a little tight, all things considered, with USPCC being behind right now. All things considered too, like for what's included, what they're advertising here, I think 28 is a reasonable price point per deck. But again, between the licensing on the box, the uncertainty around the back design, what it's actually going to look like, because a Metalux back design isn't going to look like that. And maybe they mean metallic ink. We've seen that in the past. If that's the case, it definitely needs to be clarified. And then the really low goal, to me, that's a little bit, I'd be on edge considering backing this deck. So that's something I would consider there. So hopefully, you know, these things are addressed in the comments. I see 6 comments there. It doesn't look too, let's see. Yeah, I don't see much in the way of information in the comments or the updates. And the fact that this is a first-time campaign, extremely low funding goal, extremely short campaign timeline, and a lot of confusion in it.
Red flags for sure.
Yeah, this is 100% of a red flag to me. I would be leery backing this campaign. So good luck to you, but also I would, for anyone who has backed this, definitely get your questions answered before this ends. Yeah, good luck. Next up, we have Sip to Soup Cards About Coffee. Yeah.
Dude, everybody's doing these informational cards right now, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of, well, dude,
ever since the
deck,
photography deck came out, people are like, I'm going to make $100,000.
Yeah, and hey, I mean, listen, they made $36,000 already, so good for them.
Definitely.
Relatively low goal, so probably printing through maybe, you know, NPC or someone like that. Brew method and drink recipes and a handy deck of playing cards for reference, discovery, and play. Cool. Introducing Sip to deck of premium playing cards that breaks down coffee making and drink recipes into informative and thoughtful infographics. The deck offers quick draw access to brew ratios, grind size, temperature, and duration. Cool. They're very...
retail on these things are $20.
19.
Yeah, but it says retail is 20.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that could be, yeah. There's a lot of reasons that could be. All things considered, this for a $19 deck shipped. Possibly, it looks like there's a little bit of a extra that's going into the tuck there. It looks like it's using a craft paper, things like that. A lot of information in it. I'd say this is probably more suited to a $17, $18 deck, all things considered, but 19 is the high end. If you dig the deck, I think that's fine. Well, and so this actually begs a question too. A, there's not a lot of information so far, so we have more to get into, but if they do come in this additional bag here, that could also count for additional cost, so we'll have to see. Who's it for? Enthusiast, novice, everyone. All right. So they're really gearing themselves towards people who just like coffee, whether you enjoy cards or not. Coffee baristas. Kind of fast information. Cool. They have a system built in for information, so you know where to go for like strength versus brew methods versus brew basics, which I think is really a clever way to use the cards. Cool design. Feedback. Okay, so I am curious about the picture with the like pouch in it. Whether the pouch.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh,
the waterproof edition cards are stored in a durable plastic hard case and presented in a specialty coffee-inspired presentation pouch. So, where are the waterproof edition?
There's the waterproof.
Yeah, 25 for the waterproof.
So it's plastic.
Plastic cards with a clear plastic case and the pouch. I'm not a huge fan of plastic cards personally. I can understand the use case for it in this situation. So, you know, if you dig them and you like that that price point may be reasonable for you. Curious what the limited edition difference is.
There, right there.
Yeah. Green color accents. So it's just a bit of a recolor.
Color accents.
Yeah. Cool.
Good.
So for an extra $1, you can get a green one over the standard orange one if you like it. All considered, the campaign actually has a ton of information, which I think is great.
Sure. If you're into coffee, cool.
Yeah. To be determined on the stretch goals too, even though you've already unlocked the first, I would say work to get that going, because stretch goals just add to the momentum. Even if it's just a bag of coffee or something like that, there's definitely a lot of ways you can get up quick stretch goals there. Shipping and fulfillment, Gamblers, backer kit. Nice, yeah. Did we see who is printing this?
That we did not. Is it at the top?
Let's see. I do not see it, to be honest. I don't see who's going to be printing it. That construction, maybe? No. So that's the one. US standard poker size, 2 cheeky jokers, 56 cards. Yeah, so that's the one thing I would also throw out there is who's going to actually be printing these. And I think, again, with a deck like this, MPC works, USPCC works, Cardamundi works. A lot of different brands work for something that's more of an info deck, but it's still worthwhile to put the information in there. So that would be one of the things I would mention as, you know, worthwhile to include. But otherwise, good luck on the campaign. You guys are doing a great job with this, so good luck. Keep it up. Next up, we have the Year of the Horse Lunar and Zodiac playing cards, 8 of 12. This is from Nomads playing cards. We see there's these campaigns from them pretty frequently, so this will be a quick one through. They crush. They're one of my probably top 5 people I would say to look at if you're looking at what to include in a Kickstarter campaign, because they know how to do it. About the deck, dives into the background of it, talks a little bit about the specificity of the Year of the Horse, and then goes into the card, shows the limited versus the standard edition. It's basically a very templatized campaign for them that works great every single time. Do a really good job with it.
Man, their tuck boxes are so beautiful.
They really are.
Their tucks and the deck itself are just 2 totally different entities, you know?
Yeah, they do a great job with it. Decks will be printed and fulfilled by NPC. NPCC. There we go. Noir Playing Card Company, for anyone who likes the long form. The one thing I would say is putting that a little bit closer to the top is probably the feedback I give them every time. It never hurts to have that information up there. There we go.
There printed, it is right there.
Yep. So in this case, too, I would just say printed and fulfilled. Never hurts to just throw the word on there. But otherwise, price point, that's the early bird. Single standard, $19 shipped. Phenomenal price point.
That's what they come in at every time.
Yeah, they do a great job with this. They have it down formulaic. Surprisingly enough, I feel like their goal on or their campaign hasn't trended as high on this one as previous campaigns.
Click on the other one. Let's see.
159 backers. So they still have, Year of the Dragon. Looks like it crushed. Some of the older ones, and I guess it's probably depends on a lot of people buying them, depending on which ones they really enjoy, but 9,000 on...
I mean, they're all pretty equal-ish.
Yeah.
They're not too far off. Like, it depends.
342 backers on that first one now.
Yeah.
So,
pig.
Yeah, what did Year of the Snake do? Let's see. Year of the Snake brought in 14. So 12 days left. They could hit that same level there. They're about 6 now, so we'll see how that goes, but good luck to them either way. Next up, we have... I am not even going to try to pronounce this. Historic playing cards from 1933. Let's check these out.
What does that say? Vavorsky?
Yep. Better you than me on this one, right? Yeah.
I don't know, man.
So, very cool vintage style deck. I think this is really cool. During the inter-period...
European, for sure.
Yeah, Lithuanian government held a competition where the best artists competed to draw a beautiful symbolic deck cards. Oh, translates to rainbow. Is thought to be one of the winning decks. So that's really cool that there's a historic backstory to this, which I really love. Again, I think one of the best selling points for a deck of cards is the story. And this one immediately jumps into it with a fun way, talking about Lithuanian folk art. It's amazing.
Fun.
So obviously not your standard deck of cards in the sense of the European indices. So I'm pretty sure you could figure out how to make this playable, but it is European, geared towards probably the Lithuanian market. Yeah, very. Actually, there's a lot of information here, but I love the fact that they have the specs right here at the top.
Yeah, look at that.
Printed by USPCC, fulfilled by gamblers, uses the logos there. Absolutely great. Premium casino grade.
It's crazy that LC logo. It kind of reminds me of like Jamaica or something. The colors of Jamaica. You know, if you look at the back design, for instance, it definitely.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if the Lithuanian flag probably has a similar color pattern to it.
Yeah, I mean, it must.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
always come in at.
Let's see. That's the wrong one. Let's see. One deck. We are at $19 shipped. So let's check out the the history of the deck there and everything and see where that goes to. I'd say that's a little on the higher end from my point of view. I'd say this is probably, again, like a $17, $18 max end, 19 being the push point. It is a standard deck, all things considered, but not bad looking. They talk about the back design.
I like that back design right there.
That is the back. That is the back design.
What? Oh, that's the box.
Yeah, that's the top box. So the back design looks really good. I dig that blue.
Yeah, I dig the back design.
Yeah, it looks really nice. And I like the fact that they talk about where the ornamentation for it comes through. I really love the story they're telling with this campaign. I mean, to me, it really jumps out.
Fun deck. I definitely see Matt buy in this deck.
Yeah. I definitely think it's got a lot of potential with it. I like the fact that they kind of tell you that the T's are the aces in Lithuanian. So it touches on the fact that there is going to be a language barrier there for use, and I think people who would potentially use this can work past that pretty easily. I mean, visually, you can tell these are kings, you can tell these are queens, and you can tell these are jacks. So ultimately, it is still a usable deck. Just, I dig these clubs. I love this old style.
Tiny little indices.
I love these old school European style pips and indices.
The pips are on top of the indices. Kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool deck. I love the fact that they really hit on those important price points from the jump. You know, USPCC, fulfilled by gamblers, tells a good story there. Good luck with this campaign.
Good luck.
You're going to do really well. I mean, 23 days ago, and you're very close to that goal, so good luck. Next up, we have the Tempo Playing Cards series by Arc Playing Cards.
Crushing, just absolutely murdering the campaign.
Pushing innovation to the extreme and turning the unconstrained creativity into reality. So Arc, interestingly enough, this is not Arc's actually first campaign, but the first one they're doing under their own account. They've done other, like the Card College campaign, and a couple others were run by Arc in conjunction with TCC as well. But every time Arc puts something out, they do a phenomenal job with it. So I'm not surprised that they're crushing. 785 backers is phenomenal. See what they do.
I mean, the tuck boxes are just out of control. They're really beautiful.
Yeah.
Definitely different. And, you know, when something different comes out, people are definitely more apt to pick it up, you know.
Absolutely. So they
have so much information in here.
So they jump a little bit into the, you know, Tempo is a sub-brand of Arc focusing on cardistry. This brand is born to be innovative. It goes into the whole story, talks a little bit. And I think it's important, too, that they talk about sold out and what's left. They're really driving that, like, don't miss out kind of vibe on this, which is important. It's ultimately a sales pitch, so it makes sense. You've prepared a number of epic products that will be far more astonishing than the Card College playing cards. So they talk about their old previous campaign, which I thought that was a great campaign as well. Why purchase on Kickstarter, tells the backstory of the Tempo playing cards. It just goes into these great visuals. Yeah.
The differences between the editions.
Yeah, the Tempo Plus. I mean, they're just they're good looking. It's interesting to see too. You can really tell these are built for cardistry because there's nothing there.
Well, it has a UV.
Yeah, so it's not, but like on plain like site, there's nothing there, which is so cool. Right. This is all built around the visuals and so again, not a playable deck unless you frequently play poker games in a black light room, which you probably shouldn't do. But you know, I mean, it really is an innovative way to look at cardistry, and I think, they're definitely hitting the right point with the black light drive that's going on right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, their Tempo Plus is so cool.
This is
so beautiful.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, like that foil, that color, the shimmer on it, it's just absolutely spectacular.
Shimmer?
Yeah, I mean, this is like really cool to see.
We assume they're fulfilling themselves, TCC, I mean.
Yeah, we can, let's see. When we get closer to the bottom, maybe we'll see who's printing.
I mean, there's so much information.
Yeah, there really is.
The add-ons.
Yeah. And ultimately, too, I mean, that's something to consider, too. They have so many decks being offered in this campaign. The goal is very high, but the print cost is also very high for 4 different decks and different boxes and all this special stuff. So there's a lot of cost going into this as well.
How to add it, breakdowns, risks and challenges.
So, and I don't necessarily see who's going to be printing. But again, there's a lot of information in here. So
I think it's TCCC.
Yeah.
It's that at the top.
So yeah,
I believe.
Let's see. TCCC.
It's top.
Oh. So it looks like I don't see the printing information in there. Yeah. There's just so much information in this. And this is one of those things where, like, it's easy to be overwhelmed by the amount of information in here. Which is also where having that information at the top succinctly put there is very helpful. Because without having to scroll through this 19 times to find out who's printing and who's filling, you'd have that succinctly at the top. That's the one thing I would mention with this one, because there is so much information there. Trying to make it as easy to navigate as possible.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see where we're at price point wise. A lot of the decks have sold out already. So you're really looking at gift boxes only. So
you can go to the add-ons to see what their prices were.
Yeah, let's check it out. Let's scroll down to the bottom again.
Yeah, right there.
Tempo Original.
35.
Pricey. That's
yeah. I mean, they're definitely super pricey. It does have that UV ink, that special UV ink on it.
Yeah. And
the tuck box. Yeah. Oh, $20. $20. There you go.
So, and again, though, that depends. Is that if that includes shipping, I think 20 shipped is pretty reasonable for this. If it's 25 shipped even, I think that's still pretty reasonable. Looking at that retail price point, though, that retail price point's high.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they get you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They just put a high retail price on it.
So you save a little bit on the front end.
Yeah.
Well,
so, but $20 for that deck, with that tuck box design, the UV ink. I mean, I have no idea how much a tuck box like that costs, but
yeah, there's probably research put into it, so there's probably added cost in that aspect as well. But ultimately, great job on the campaign arc. Love to see it. I definitely would. I'd love to see who printed and who fulfilled a little bit closer to the top, just so it's easier to find because there is so much information. But keep up the great work, guys. Boom playing cards by Pale Snake. Very reasonable price goal. A little bit strange. Probably a conversion there, but yeah, conversion. I was gonna say 8899 is a weird goal. Why not just say 8900 or 9000? So conversion makes sense there. I
mean, here's the only thing I'm gonna say off the top here is it looks
like a Madison deck.
Very similar to the Remedies deck.
Yeah, it looks like a Madison deck with the feather there. Very minimalist. I actually really like the minimalist aspect of the tuck. Very clean.
I like the minimalist of the back of the deck for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Going to produce 2,500.
Daniel's stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure the feather is not the same and everything, and it's a little different, it is very reminiscent of that, which may be part of the reason that it's not getting a ton of momentum.
Yeah.
Printed by USPCC on premium thin crush stock. Uncuts are offered. Shipping, worldwide shipping, free US shipping on all items. International shipping prices, digressive. So I'd be curious. There we go. Fulfilled by gamblers. The one thing I would say there is, again, specs up top, that information, and use the logos so they stand out more. While I truly appreciate the simple nature of the campaign, there's a lot of black and white. Those colors from the gamblers and USPCC logos, well, the USPCC logo, would really pop in this and make it stand out in a good way. Considering Gambler's logo is black and white also, might blend in a little, but next to each other, they would look really good there. See where we're at price point wise. $11 shipped. Great workers deck price point.
That is cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely a great price point. If you're into this deck, that is a steal. And then you look at it, $20 shipped for 2, so it brings it down to $10. Free at 28, so you're down even lower there. The one thing I would say, and this is something I feel like I say frequently, I would not add an uncut as a tier, but as an add-on, just because ultimately you have one backer here. You probably won't get many more. A lot of even highly successful campaigns maybe only get 4 or 5 backers for an uncut sheet. And what you've done is you've now added an extra step for this person to actually buy a deck of cards. Alternatively, you're better off having them buy a single deck of cards and adding the uncut as an add-on, because if they really want it, that's not a big deal. It's just, you're selling a deck of cards, you're not selling the uncut as your primary goal there. So something to consider. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, the price is phenomenal. This is 100% a worker's deck. I think those price points are on point. But I think, yeah, I think a lot of that drive there is really just because of the similarity to the Madison brand.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So
good luck, man.
Good luck to you guys. Hopefully, hopefully if this doesn't fund, you take it back to the drawing board and kind of make it a little bit more your own. Good luck. Right. So Steve, what are you planning on backing this week, man?
Well, I would back Tempo. I would back Constellation.
Nice.
What do we have up top? What else we got up there?
We have the MPC and the Golden Deer.
That's it for me, man.
Yeah, so I gotta say, I dig the flower deck. I think it looks really good. I like the standard edition even without the gilding. I like the back design. I like that simple minimalist to it. Constellation for sure too. It's really good. I dig this historic deck, I'm not gonna lie. I really like the artwork behind it, and I think the price point's not bad. I'd probably back that. And then, yeah, Tempo as well. Arc always blows my mind. I think that's phenomenal. I like this cocktail recipes deck, but there's just so many red flags in there. I'm genuinely concerned to see whether or not it actually funds or if it just kind of is a fly-by-night. So,
yeah, I mean, just looking at it, I mean, it would be a really cool deck if it wasn't like a recipe deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think if it was like a wine deck, like a Merlot type deck, it would crush.
Yeah.
No pun. You know, but I think...
No pun.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, so I mean, you know, I think that just holds it back for me. I don't drink, so I don't really care about alcohol stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I think the design of the deck was really cool as well, but those red flags were just too much to overlook. So to me, that's something to be a little concerned about. Yeah, I think this was a great week. You know, honestly, for the most part, price points were thankfully where you'd expect them to be. We didn't see anything too crazy or over the top this week. I think is phenomenal. But we'd love to hear what you guys would back this week. Make sure to leave a comment down below and let us know what decks you're really excited for, whether it be the Constellation or the, you know, Year of the Horse or whatever it may be. Definitely make sure to let us know which decks you liked and what decks you're looking forward to in future weeks as well.
Yeah, let's jump into our sponsor before we head out. The year 2020 caused everyone around the world to rearrange their normal. This official, unofficial deck will serve as a reminder that through the highs and lows, we will go on. Pick yours up at marvelousdecks.com.
Thanks everyone so much for checking out this episode of Deckin Around Kickstarter Edition. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.